The adventurous story begins in a kingdom where the king and his people wanted to rise above all other kingdoms. The people of this kingdom strongly believed in black magic and worshipped a god that appeared as a bull. They believed that the bull god provided them with everything and would lead their kingdom to greatness. However, the king and his allies desired even more power and wanted to dominate everyone. The king's advisors suggested that if the bull god's spirit could be placed into the body of an evil queen, the child born from this union would be the most powerful being and lead them to victory. Upon hearing this, the queen agreed to the ritual and prepared herself to conceive the child of the bull god. After performing all the rituals, the queen became pregnant. 14 months passed, and she went into labor. From her womb emerged the bull god's child, but in the process, the queen lost her life. The child was a terrifying combination of a bull and a human, which the villagers began calling Minotaur. They believed this creature would ensure their kingdom's prosperity and protect them from external threats. The Minotaur was well cared for and provided with all the resources needed to grow strong. However, the people of the kingdom were also afraid of the creature's growing appetite. They knew that as it grew, it would need human sacrifices to remain calm. To manage this, the Minotaur was eventually confined to a cave where it could live comfortably. Whenever the kingdom needed the creature, they would bring it out. To feed the Minotaur, 10 random individuals from the kingdom were chosen to be sent into the cave as sacrifices. This selection process created fear and uncertainty among the villagers. One day, during the selection process, we are introduced to Theo, the son of the village chief, who had a close friend named Denny. Together, they would often take their sheep to graze in the mountains. Suddenly, Theo encounters a witch named Leprous, who lived in their village. She was known for predicting people's futures, though the villagers generally avoided her, seeing it as safer to keep their distance. After this strange encounter, Theo returns home and tells his father how much he misses Fion, a girl he deeply cared for. Fion had mysteriously disappeared recently, leaving Theo distraught. His father tries to comfort him, saying, "Forget about Fion, you'll find a better girl. For now, focus on the village because you are destined to become the next chief." Though reluctant, Theo continues with his usual routine, herding his sheep to higher grounds. While tending to the flock, Theo notices a group of wolves attacking his sheep. Acting quickly, he rushes to fend them off. However, by the time he reaches, many of his sheep have already been killed. Strangely, no wolves are in sight anymore. While searching for them, Theo realizes that Leprous has been watching him all along. The witch signals for him to follow her into her cave. Curious and somewhat hesitant, Theo complies. When he gets close enough to see her face, he is horrified by how grotesque she looks. In her cave, Leprous reveals something shocking. Fion isn't dead, as you think. She has been kidnapped, by the kingdom itself. You can save her, but to do so, you must kill the god bull. Theo is stunned and protests, saying, "How can I do that? The god bull is our deity. No ordinary man can kill a god." Leprous explains that it is indeed possible, but she doesn't elaborate further. After this unsettling conversation, Theo rushes back home and confides everything to his father. He tells him about Fion being alive, her kidnapping, and the seemingly impossible task of killing the god bull to save her. His father is alarmed and warns him, "Don't even think of such things. No human can kill the god bull. If you even entertain such thoughts, the god bull will destroy you." His father insists that Theo should forget about Fion entirely and focus on his duties, as his responsibilities as the future chief are far more important. Since Theo was destined to become the next chief of the village after his father, the weight of responsibility often loomed over him. One day, the kingdom's soldiers stormed into the village, forcibly capturing several people. It was time for the monthly ritual where 10 individuals were sacrificed to the Minotaur. The soldiers showed no mercy, dragging women and others from the village as offerings to appease the monstrous creature, who would feast on them. From a distance, Theo watched these events unfold. Initially, he decided not to interfere. However, he suddenly had a vision of Fion, pleading for his help. Theo realized that Fion might have been kidnapped in the same way, taken to the kingdom to be sacrificed. Filled with rage and determination, Theo ran toward the soldiers. But instead of fighting them or rescuing the villagers, he did something unexpected. He voluntarily stepped into one of the cages where the captured prisoners were being held. The soldiers, unaware of his true intentions, locked Theo inside along with the other captives. Among them was his friend Denny, along with many frightened villagers. They were all terrified, knowing they would soon face the monstrous Minotaur, who would devour them one by one. Hiding his true identity, Theo listened carefully to the conversations around him. He observed the fear and despair that gripped everyone. At one point, Theo approached a man named Ryan, who seemed to be trying to calm the group. When Theo revealed himself, everyone was shocked. They recognized him as the chief's son and wondered how he ended up there, as no one had captured him. Theo explained his plan. "I came here willingly," he said. "I have one goal, to kill the Minotaur." His words stunned the captives, who couldn't believe anyone would willingly face the terrifying creature. But Theo's determination gave them a glimmer of hope amidst their despair. The captives echoed the same belief as Theo's father, insisting that the Minotaur was a god and no normal human could defeat it. But Theo disagreed. He believed the Minotaur was nothing more than a selfish monster that exploited people for its own benefit. Before long, a group of soldiers arrived and pulled the prisoners out of their cages, escorting them toward the king. Soon, the king of the kingdom, Duke Doka, was revealed. He ruled the kingdom alongside his sister, Raphael. Duke Doka separated two young women from the group, preparing them to be sacrifices for the Minotaur. At the center of the scene was a large fenced-off pit that led into a deep, dark cave, presumably where the Minotaur was kept. The gates to the fence were opened, and the king began shouting commands to summon the Minotaur. His voice echoed through the air, calling forth the creature to come and feast on the sacrifices they had brought. Meanwhile, Raphael approached one of the young women and blew a mysterious powder into her face. The woman became dazed and slowly collapsed, hypnotized. Strangely, Raphael leaned in and kissed her on the forehead, a ritual to purify the sacrifice for the Minotaur. Moments later, the ground seemed to shudder as a shadowy figure emerged from the depths of the cave. It was none other than the Minotaur itself, its massive frame radiating fear. As Raphael prepared to throw the dazed woman into the pit, Theo intervened, shouting, "You can't do this. This is wrong." The soldiers immediately restrained him, dragging him to the side. Ryan, seeing Theo in trouble, tried to help but was quickly overpowered. The soldiers subdued all who resisted, forcing them back into submission. King Doka was enraged at the defiance, declaring, "I never expected these slaves to act against me like this." Furious, he halted the sacrifice ritual and ordered that everyone, including the woman, be thrown into the pit together. "Let the Minotaur feast on all of them. That should satisfy it," he declared coldly. The prisoners, now thrown back into their cages, awaited their grim fate as the Minotaur's growls echoed through the air. Theo, however, remained determined, even in the face of danger. He vowed silently to put an end to the tyranny of both the Minotaur and the king. All the captives were thrown into a large cage. Many of them were furious with Theo, blaming him for their predicament. They demanded to know why he had put everyone's lives at risk. In response, Theo posed a question of his own. "If the Minotaur is your god, why is it kept locked up like a prisoner?" Ryan stepped forward to explain. "The Minotaur is the god of night, also known as the Lord of Darkness. It thrives in darkness, which is why it's confined to that cave." But Theo dismissed this, declaring, "It's not a god. It's just a monster, used to control and terrorize us. I will fight it, defeat it, and kill it because I must save my girlfriend, Fion." His bold declaration shocked everyone. They couldn't believe anyone would dare defy the Minotaur, let alone try to kill it. Moments later, soldiers arrived and called Theo out of the cage. They had realized he wasn't among the villagers they had captured, he had willingly entered the cage. The soldiers took Theo to the palace, where Raphael, King Doka's sister, summoned him to her chambers. She offered him a place to rest, but her intentions were far from innocent. As Theo lay down, Raphael began seducing him, climbing on top of him in an attempt to get intimate. Theo, however, resisted her advances, explaining that he loved Fion and had no desire to betray her. Frustrated, Raphael revealed a dark truth: "Fion is alive, but you will never find her." Theo was enraged by her words and pushed her away. At that moment, King Doka entered the room. He caught Raphael in the act and was furious. "How dare you? You are royalty, and you disgrace our family by lowering yourself to someone beneath our rank," King Doka shouted. His anger toward his sister was intense, and he ordered his soldiers to punish her severely. The soldiers dragged Raphael away, and she was brutally beaten as punishment for her actions. Meanwhile, Theo was taken to another chamber, where he was hung upside down and beaten mercilessly by the guards. King Doka was determined to make an example of both Theo and Raphael, showing no mercy as he imposed his punishments. But even in the face of this torture, Theo's resolve remained unshaken. His thoughts were consumed by Fion, and his determination to confront the Minotaur only grew stronger. He silently vowed to escape and bring an end to the tyranny of both the king and the monstrous Minotaur. King Doka, now consumed by his own twisted desires, began forcing his sister Raphael to engage in a relationship with him. This was fueled by his desperation and growing madness due to his condition. Fearing for her life, Raphael initially pretended to agree, but deep down, she was determined to escape and find freedom far away from her brother's tyranny. Meanwhile, Theo and his companions were thrown one by one into the dark cave where the monstrous Minotaur awaited. The plan was simple yet horrifying. The Minotaur would feast on them to satiate its hunger. Trapped with no way out, the prisoners had no choice but to venture deeper into the cave. As they descended into the darkness, ominous sounds began echoing from within the cave. It became evident that the Minotaur had awakened. Moments later, the terrifying creature emerged, its massive size and horrifying appearance sending chills down everyone's spine. It wasted no time, immediately attacking and killing one of the women. Everyone was frozen in fear as they realized the true scale of the beast's ferocity. Amid the chaos, Theo and Denny managed to slip away, running deeper into the cave in search of safety. The cavern, however, was vast and perilous, and they knew they couldn't evade the Minotaur forever. Meanwhile, Raphael, refusing to succumb to her brother's demands, defied him outright. She pushed past the soldiers guarding the cave and stood at its edge, declaring, "I am free, and no one can control me." Without hesitation, she leapt into the cave to confront her fate. Inside the cave, Theo and the others moved cautiously, trying to avoid detection by the Minotaur. The fear among the group was palpable. They had no idea how to fight the creature if it found them. Yet Theo remained resolute, his face filled with confidence and determination. He was driven by the belief that he could kill the Minotaur, save his friends, and rescue Fion. Hearing the cries of some of his companions, Theo hurried toward the sound, finding a group of injured people. He quickly gathered them, urging them to stick together as their best chance for survival. Ryan, trying to keep everyone calm, suddenly raised his hand for silence. "Stay quiet," he whispered. "I hear the beast coming." The group froze, their breath caught in their throats, as the growls of the Minotaur echoed through the cave. The battle for survival was about to begin, and Theo knew that the fate of everyone depended on his next move. The monstrous Minotaur could appear at any moment, and everyone knew they needed to proceed with extreme caution. One wrong move, and the beast would destroy them all. Meanwhile, back in the palace, King Doka was kneeling before the statue of the god Bull, praying desperately for his sister Raphael's safety. He pleaded with the deity, saying, "Take anyone else, take the others, take as many virgins and children as you want, but spare my sister." Determined, he promised countless sacrifices to appease the god Bull and protect Raphael. Inside the cave, Theo, Ryan, Vina, Denny, and the others realized they needed a plan. Working together was their only hope of defeating the beast, as they had no idea how to escape otherwise. Theo suggested a strategy: "I'll distract the creature. Once its focus is on me, the rest of you sneak up from behind and attack together. We'll have to hit it hard and fast." He handed out weapons to everyone, tools they could use to defend themselves and fight back. Just as they were preparing, someone unexpected appeared, Raphael. She stumbled into the group, and they quickly restrained her, thinking she might be a threat. Upon seeing Theo, Raphael was shocked. "You're still alive? I thought my brother's soldiers had killed you," she exclaimed. After a brief conversation, Raphael revealed her true intentions. "I'm not on my brother's side anymore. I want to help you all. I know a way out of this cave, a path that can save everyone here," she explained. However, Vina immediately distrusted her. "She's a witch," Vina accused. "She tried to kill me and my friend before. How can we trust her now?" Raphael responded calmly, "I've changed. I've realized my brother is wrong, and I want to fight against him with you. I can lead you to safety." Despite her words, most of the group remained wary. Vina, in particular, was adamant. This woman lied to her own family and betrayed them. "How can we trust someone like her?" she argued. Theo, however, saw something genuine in Raphael's words. He felt that she was being truthful and decided to trust her. "Sometimes, people can change. And right now, we need all the help we can get," Theo said, trying to convince the others. Vina still wasn't convinced. "Theo, you're making a mistake. She betrayed her own blood once. What's stopping her from betraying us now?" she insisted. Theo gently tried to calm Vina. "I understand your doubts, but Raphael knows this cave better than any of us. If she can help us escape or even fight the Minotaur, we have to take that chance. We can't survive this alone." Though Vina remained skeptical, Theo's confidence in Raphael began to sway the group. Time was running out, and they needed to decide quickly: trust Raphael or face the Minotaur without her help. Vina kept shouting, her distrust of Raphael escalating, but her loud protests attracted the monstrous creature, the god Bull itself. With terrifying speed, the beast charged at her, driving its sharp horns into her body. It flung her into the air, killing her instantly. The horrific sight left everyone frozen in fear. Realizing they had no other choice, the group followed Raphael, as she was the only one who knew the way out of the cave. As the god Bull finished off Vina, the rest of the group ran in the opposite direction, trying to put as much distance between themselves and the beast as possible. They reached another part of the cave where Dia, one of their companions, had collapsed from her injuries. Raphael quickly knelt beside her and fed her a strange substance. Miraculously, Dia regained consciousness. This act of kindness began to convince the group that Raphael was genuinely on their side and truly wanted to help them. Outside the cave, Raphael had arranged for her ally, a maid, to open a hidden back door that would allow the group to escape. However, as the maid approached the door, King Doka appeared, having discovered Raphael's plan. Furious, he killed the maid before she could open the exit, ensuring the prisoners remained trapped inside. Unaware of what had happened, Raphael and the others reached the hidden door, only to find it locked. Raphael called out for her maid, but there was no response. As the seconds ticked by, the group began to panic. Suspicion quickly turned toward Raphael. Some of them accused her of leading them into a trap. "You've betrayed us. You've trapped us here," one shouted. Raphael insisted she was innocent, but their doubts grew louder. Meanwhile, the echoing roars of the god bull reverberated through the cave, growing closer and closer. Everyone could feel the beast's presence bearing down on them. Desperate to escape, the group split up. Theo, Denny, and a few others went in one direction, while Ryan and Dia fled in another. Left behind, Raphael found herself alone, staring directly into the eyes of the monstrous god bull. It advanced toward her, its massive form filling the chamber. Despite the looming threat, Raphael stood her ground, ready to face the beast head-on, even if it meant sacrificing herself to buy the others more time. As Theo and his companions continued moving forward, they unexpectedly encountered a man named Turk, who had been living in the cave for many years. He had survived by evading the terrifying creature and had learned to adapt to life in the darkness. Turk led Theo and his group to a small chamber where they could find safety. He explained that for years, he had survived by eating rats and other small creatures. This chamber, he assured them, was completely safe. Its narrow structure was so compact that the god bull couldn't possibly fit inside or reach them. Relieved, the group felt a sense of hope for the first time in what felt like forever. They now had a temporary refuge, and their lives were safe for the moment. However, their voices echoed loudly in the confined space, and the god bull, lurking nearby, heard the noise. Realizing that humans were hiding behind the large rocks in the chamber, the creature began to smash the boulders apart, breaking through the barriers that stood between it and its prey. Despite this, the surprising turn of events was that the god bull completely ignored Raphael. It didn't attack her, seemingly unbothered by her presence. Instead, it turned its wrath on the other people hiding behind the rocks, knowing they were nearby. This strange choice made everyone question the creature's motives. Theo, still deeply worried about Fian, turned to Turk and asked, "Have you seen my girlfriend, Fian? I believe she might be here, hidden like the rest of us, waiting to be devoured by the creature." Theo couldn't shake the feeling that Fian might have been abandoned here, sacrificed to the beast. Turk paused for a moment, thinking. "I think I've seen a woman. She used to stay behind the rocks," he said, his words piquing Theo's hope. Turk then revealed that he had been marking the locations he found in the cave on a map he had created to navigate the vast tunnels and chambers. Theo, filled with a renewed sense of urgency, quickly studied the map and realized that the location Turk had described was near. His heart raced as he thought, could this woman be Fian? He prayed silently that it was indeed her, holding on to the hope that, like Turk, Fian might still be alive somewhere in the depths of the cave. Meanwhile, back at the palace, King Doka, his face pale with fear, was shown in his chambers. The king had been watching the events unfold, his own anxiety growing. He had never anticipated that things would escalate to this point, and his nerves were on edge as the god bull rampaged through the cave. King Doka, unable to bear the desperate cries of his sister Raphael, could not stay calm. Hearing her scream from the other side of the door, he couldn't take it anymore. He rushed into the cave with one of his companions, calling out for his sister. As he moved further, he couldn't find her, but instead, the monstrous creature, the god bull, approached him. In that moment, the king realized he was powerless to save himself. Fearing for his life, he pushed his companion forward, allowing the creature to kill him instead. King Doka managed to escape through a door, but he was never brave enough to return to the cave. Meanwhile, deep within the cave, Ryan and Dia continued their search for an escape route. As they walked, a ray of light suddenly appeared above them, offering a glimmer of hope. Both of them were relieved, thinking they had finally found a way out. Ryan climbed up to inspect the area, ensuring it was safe. Once he confirmed there was no immediate danger, he told Dia, "Grab my hand and climb up quickly." As Dia was climbing, the terrifying sounds of the god bull echoed from below, sending her into a state of panic. Her breath quickened in fear, but Ryan reassured her, "Don't look down, just hold on to my hand." Despite his encouragement, Dia's fear got the better of her, and she looked down. At that exact moment, the god bull was below, its massive form rushing towards them. Dia screamed in terror, and in the chaos, her hand slipped from Ryan's grip. She fell, and before Ryan could react, the Minotaur pounced and killed her in an instant. Ryan was powerless to stop it, and in his grief, he continued his ascent alone, determined to survive. Back in the cave, Theo, using the map he had been carrying, finally reached Fian. After such a long and difficult journey, he was overwhelmed with joy when he saw her. He ran to her, embracing her in relief. But as he held her, he noticed something was wrong. Fian seemed different. When he pulled away and looked at her again, he was horrified to see that it wasn't his girlfriend at all, but rather a skeleton, her bones, lifeless and cold. The realization hit him like a wave. His hope had been shattered, and the nightmare he feared most had come true. Fian, the love of his life, had been gone all along, and he had been chasing shadows in the dark. Theo slowly came to the realization that everything he had seen with Fian was just his imagination. He had been imagining her in front of him, trying to hold on to hope. He understood now that he had made a huge mistake by leaving his companions behind. Just then, as Theo was reflecting on this, Danny, who had been following him, was grabbed by the terrifying creature. The creature, with its bull-like and hybrid form, overpowered Danny in an instant. It killed him with one swipe, and Theo could do nothing to stop it. Danny, his childhood friend, was gone right before his eyes. Anger surged through Theo. He couldn't believe his eyes as his friend was taken away from him, and he felt powerless. In a fit of rage, he threw a locket, one that his father had given him, at a stone. As the locket hit the stone, a small spark was generated. Theo's eyes immediately went to the spark, and for a moment, his curiosity overshadowed his grief. But the shock and loss of his companions' lives weighed heavily on him. He was devastated by what had happened. Raphael, still traveling with him, approached Theo and tried to comfort him. She explained a crucial piece of information. The Minotaur, she said, was brought here long ago, and when it first arrived, it killed our old king. This was the moment we realized this creature could not be controlled by anyone. No matter what we did, the god bull was beyond anyone's control. To maintain the illusion that it was on our side, we spread a lie. We told the kingdom that the creature preferred to stay in the darkness, that it would help us spread fear, and as part of the ritual, we decided to sacrifice 10 people. Raphael continued, but now, if the creature breaks free from this cave, no one will survive. We have no choice but to destroy it. There's only one way out of this, and that's to kill the Minotaur. For the first time, Theo felt a glimmer of hope. Raphael had given him the confidence to believe that the Minotaur could be defeated. He had been consumed by grief and anger, but now, with a clearer mind, he understood that defeating the creature was the only way forward. The realization was hard to accept, but he had to act to protect what was left of his people. Theo, now armed with a plan, led Raphael to a small lake within the cave, known for its dangerous, toxic liquids. These liquids were highly flammable, and Theo knew that even a small spark could set them on fire, creating a massive explosion. He had a brilliant idea: use the liquid and the fire to take down the Minotaur. Theo and Raphael made their way deeper into the cave, but soon, Ryan arrived, filled with rage. He was grieving the loss of Dia, the woman he had loved, who had been killed by the creature. Ryan blamed Theo for the situation, accusing him of causing their separation. If Theo hadn't made that rash decision earlier, none of them would have ended up trapped in the cave. However, Theo understood that fighting and blaming each other would only make things worse. He asked Ryan to stay put while he continued his mission with Raphael. Theo explained to Raphael, if the creature comes, I'll lead it right here. I've already spread the flammable liquid all around this area. Once the spark ignites, the flames will spread quickly, and the creature will be trapped. When Theo returned to Ryan, he was shocked to find him dead. The Minotaur had caught up with them and had killed Ryan. The creature was now closer than ever, and it was coming for Theo. Despite the looming danger, Theo felt no fear. His plan was in motion, and he was ready. He shouted at the creature, daring it to come and face him. Soon, the god bull appeared, charging toward him with terrifying speed. Theo led the creature through the winding tunnels, deliberately taking sharp turns, causing the creature's horns to strike against the rocks and create sparks. After a few turns, the plan worked. Sparks flew, igniting the flammable liquid that Theo had carefully spread around the area. The fire quickly caught, and the liquid erupted into a blazing inferno, engulfing the area in flames. The explosion was massive, and the cave shook with the intensity of the blast. Theo knew he had only one chance to defeat the Minotaur. As the fire raged on, he hoped his plan would be enough to destroy the creature once and for all. The fire had spread everywhere, and Theo was running for his life, heading back to Raphael. In the chaos, one of the Minotaur's horns broke off, but the creature still wouldn't relent, pursuing Theo relentlessly. The intensity of the explosions had reached such a level that Theo knew he had to act fast. He dove into the liquid, hoping the flames wouldn't reach it, and after a brief moment in the water, Theo and Raphael emerged, only to find the Minotaur still alive. Although the creature was severely damaged, it still had life in it. Theo, undeterred, made up his mind that the Minotaur would die today. He grabbed the broken horn and, as the creature charged toward him, he drove the horn straight into its mouth. The monstrous beast convulsed in agony and died on the spot. Theo had proven that even the so-called immortal god bull could be killed. After the creature's demise, the group made their way out of the cave. Theo, Raphael, and a few others helped each other escape. When they finally reached the palace, they were shocked to find that destruction had already engulfed the place. King Doka was gravely injured, and when he saw Raphael alive, he begged for her help. But Raphael, now fully aware that her brother's reign was over, didn't hesitate. She suffocated him, taking his life. Theo, reflecting on everything that had happened, realized that after Phaon's loss, it was Raphael who had been by his side when everyone else had abandoned him. He made a decision to rule the kingdom alongside her, determined to bring order and rebuild what was left. Theo had fought for everything he believed in, and now he was ready to lead. And with that, the adventure-filled tale comes to an end.